Did you know the money in the bank isn't actually real? This isn't a conspiracy, just an unnerving fact. If everyone showed up to the bank tomorrow and said, "Give me my money," it would all collapse within a few hours. Because that money doesn't exist tangibly. It's not an accident. The system was built this way on purpose. It has been normalized to such a degree that nobody really questions the fact. This is called fractional reserve banking. Think of it as the quiet engine running global debt, inflation, and the illusion of money behind the scenes. Now let's rewind the tape a bit. No phones, no computers. Money was gold and silver. I'm talking medieval times. Rich folks carried bags of gold. But carrying gold was risky. So people started leaving it with jewelers who had secure vaults. In return, the jeweler would give a receipt saying, "Come get it whenever you want." Soon, people realized it was much easier to use the receipt than to carry gold with them. Finally, the receipts became almost as valuable as the gold itself. And this is where it all starts. The jewelers figured something out. Nobody came in to get their gold all at once. If they had 100 clients, perhaps 3 to 5 would show up in a day. Most of the gold simply sat in the vault. The jewelers got clever. If they had 1,000 gold coins, they began issuing 2,000 receipts. They lent out the extra receipts at interest, making money off of gold that didn't exist. So long as everyone didn't demand their gold all at once, nobody noticed. In essence, money from thin air. This little trick, over time, became the very foundation of banking. By the 17th century, governments adopted the practice too. The Bank of England, for instance, wasn't created to serve the public. It was created to save a crown which was drowning in debt. They lent more money to the government than they had while charging interest. Who paid the debt? Regular citizens, of course. The same story happened in America. Early American banks issued gold-backed notes, but soon realized they could print more money than they had gold to cover. Occasional bank runs exposed the illusion. People rushed to get their money, but there was none. The banks collapsed. Governments didn't say, "Let's fix this system." They created central banks to keep the illusion going. The message was, even if the money isn't real, we'll make people believe that it is. Today you might deposit $100 in a bank. But the bank only keeps a tiny fraction. It used to be 10%. So you deposit $100, the bank lends out $90, that $90 goes to another bank, they lend most of it out again. Soon your $100 looks like $900 to $1,000 in the system. But the actual cash? Still only $10. The rest? Debt. And the bad news, by now this story is old. In the US, reserve requirements are now zero. Banks don't even need to keep a single dollar against deposits. The classic deposit $100, keep $10 rule is gone. Does that mean banks can lend infinitely? No, it is not the break anymore, it is the Basel rules. In response to the crisis of 2008, a number of technocrats came up with a different system. Banks were supposed to hold a portion of their own capital against risky loans and maintain liquid assets sufficient for short-term crises. The key point: loans create deposits now, not the other way around. When you take a mortgage, the bank doesn't open a drawer and hand over cash. It simply writes new money into your account. That money exists because you agreed to borrow it. More than 90% of money in circulation isn't central bank money, but bank-created money from loans. Even the money in your account isn't real money. It's a digital record of someone's debt. The system relies on trust. If debts aren't paid or banks can't roll them over, the system starts to crack. This setup produces 3 things. Inflation. Money loses value because it's created over and over. Constant debt. Interest means there is always more debt than money. Centralization of power. The banks gain from money that doesn't exist. The rich safeguard their riches and the poor watch as their wages deteriorate. History proves it. The 1929 crash occurred because banks lent far beyond their reserves. The 2008 crisis? A collapse of promises bigger than reality. No matter which country one resides in, money creation isn't determined by cash in vaults. It's Basel rules. Harsh reality: if all debt were paid off, the economy would grind to a halt. Money is created as debt. And the illusion depends on just one thing: you playing along. Taking loans, spending, and believing that the numbers in your account are real. So what should you take away? Money isn't wealth. Wealth is land, skills, knowledge, and production. Debt is not neutral. It's the fuel of the system, and the winners are pretty obvious. Inflation is not an accident. It's built into the system. This isn't pessimism, it is awareness. If your money is born as debt, your freedom then begins by stepping outside the system. Most of what you see in your bank account is just numbers. Records of promises that aren't real. Know the trick and you are protected. Ignore it and you remain a pawn in a game where the house always wins. If this perspective sparked something in you, there's more to uncover. History has all the answers, you just need to know where to look.